Hello, Camille Nixon here with Neotechnology, talking to Hamish Boland-Rudder from ICIJ. Hi, Hamish. Thanks so much for being here. Please tell us a little bit about ICIJ.
G'day, yeah. ICIJ, which is short for the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, is a global network of 190 reporters spread across about 65 countries. Our biggest focus is in-depth investigative reporting across borders.
And tell us a little bit about why you're here at Graph Connect and a little bit about your talk and the story that you're telling.
So one of ICIJ's biggest specialties is the offshore financial world. So we're talking a very secretive world that is driven entirely by complex networks that cross many, many jurisdictions. The people who set up these accounts do that deliberately to try and hide money and assets usually. And what we have tried to do over the past few years is find better ways to investigate and find that money, find the links between them and find the relationships between them. And in recent years, we've come to see that Graph is a really good way of doing that.
Great. Yeah, that was my next question. How does Neo4j fit into this world of offshore finance?
So, as I said, the world of offshore finance is driven by complex networks. It's never John Smith's account in John Smith's name. It's usually an account that is owned by a company in Panama that is owned by two corporations in the British Virgin Islands. Somewhere along the lines, we might find a link to John Smith if that's who we're looking for. What Graph has enabled us to do is really visualize these relationships and networks in ways that journalists who aren't necessarily familiar with data analysis can work with much more easily and investigate. So in that way, we're introducing the data aspects to a lot more investigative reporters' usual workflow in such a way that they can do it without being scared off by query languages or heavy data work.
So can you tell me a little bit about what it was like before you had Neo4j, the problem that you were solving, and then how it is now?
So before we came to Neo4j, we'd actually done a big story. We called it became known as Offshore Leaks. And after we published the story, we tried to release the data to the public in a way that kind of visualized these relationships. When we built that, we did it using relational databases and then a JavaScript library that helped visualize it. And what we've come to realize is, first of all, that is a really valuable reporting tool. If we introduce that to our reporters before we publish the stories, it can actually inform a lot of their reporting. And the second thing we realized is that there's a much better way of doing it than simulating a graph structure using relational databases. Why not actually just use a graph structure, which is where Neo4j came in. We actually found Neo4j through Linkurious, which is one of Neo4j's partners, who had an off-the-shelf ready-made product that seems pretty perfect for us.
Great. And how do the reporters like working with the interface and being involved with the graph database and the different data relationships?
Reporters are a pretty funny bunch. There's a lot of investigative reporters who are resistant to change. Thankfully, we've found that a lot of the reporters we've worked with have really picked up, particularly the Linkurious visualization of these graph structures. It's very intuitive, and they've found that not only does it inform their investigations, but it also often makes it just easier to do things like fact-checking and making sure that the relationships that they're talking about in their stories are the right ones and that the links are there. And what they're now doing is stepping up to the next level of using this sort of software where they're using more advanced features like finding the shortest path between two nodes or sharing visualizations with each other to foster better collaborations and better storytelling.
Terrific. So do you have any lessons learned or anything you'd like to add to really make sure that people understand about the work you're doing and how Neo4j has fit in or not?
There's always lessons to learn. I myself am not a data geek. I'm not a data expert. I'm one of the end users. And one of the things that we've learnt is the value of listening to our end users through everything. We train our reporters in how to use this technology, but what's more important for us is the feedback they give us on the features that they're using and what they're looking for in their investigations. We're always open to new ideas and new collaborations, and so what this has done is really opened some doors for us in the potential of Graph Database, and by listening to the reporters that we're working with, we think that we're going to have a really focused exploration of what we can do next.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us here, Hamish. Really appreciate your time. This is Camille Nixon signing off with Hamish Boland Rudder from ICIJ. Thank you.